During this presentation, we'll be exploring the concept of metatheatre in The Tempest. The Tempest contains elements from all the great comedies, tragedies, and romances, yet it also radically departs from established motifs. It takes place in no recognisable universe, an uninhabited island. It starts right in the middle of a story. 2 entire plays have happened before the first scene. It runs in real time, taking place in what seems to be the span of only a few hours, and it is incredibly compressed. 2 brief acts to introduce everyone, 1 act to advance 3 stories simultaneously, and 2 even shorter acts, 1 long scene each, to resolve the situation. From beginning to end, The Tempest is a philosophical drama that is intent on exploring the couplings of harshness and tenderness in human life. The play instructs its responders in complex and even contradictory ways of understanding and responding to the world, and of holding these very different ways of seeing and feeling together. The Tempest challenges its responders to respond thoughtfully to its complex representation of the world, to judge without sentimentality, and to emphasise with those whom we judge. One of its principal ways that the play does this is by means of metatheatre, which is the element of the drama that draws attention to the theatrical practices that underline and produce the fictional world of the play, and that also works to recruit the engaged participation of the audience. Metatheatre refers to the ability of the theatre to talk about or make reference to itself as theatrical. It is when the theatre draws attention to its own theatrical pretense, for example when the actors on the stage become the audience of their own play, thereby reflecting the audience function back to the actual audience. The Tempest is Shakespeare's most meta-theatrical play. Prospero is a duke and a magician, but he also seems to be a dramatist. He orders Ariel into costume and praises his performance. He orders up and presumably also writes a theatrical performance in honour of Miranda and Ferdinand's impending nuptials. The play follows the so-called unity of time so attentively that the time elapsed in performance is about the same as the time represented in the play world. Timing is one of Prospero's obsessions. It is crucial for both effective magic and successful playmaking. Examples of metatheatre in the play are Prospero as a director of the action, Prospero's wedding mask, a play within a play, and the epilogue spoken by Prospero, which enlists the audience in the business of ending the story in the play and in the act of forgiveness as well. This makes explicit the collaboration of the audience in the whole project of the theatre. The most straightforward example is where Prospero sees that Ferdinand is a good man, so he conjures up an engagement mask for the young couple. They see a vision of Juno, Iris, and Circe, who are goddesses connected to fertility. It is a blessing for the young couple's engagement. Masks were popular entertainment in the 16th and 17th centuries, and they consisted of dancing and acting performed by players who wore masks.
Ceres, most bounteous lady, thy rich lees of wheat, rye, barley, vetches, oats, and peas, thy turfy mountains, where live nibbling sheep, and flat meads thatched with stover them to keep, thy banks pied and trilled brims, which spongy April at thy Hespe trims to make cold nymphs chaste crowns, and thy broom groves, whose shadow the dismissed bachelor loves being last lorn, thy pole-clipped vineyard, and thy sea marge, sterile and rocky hard, where thou dost thyself err, the queen of the sky, whose watery arch and messenger am I, bids thee leave these, and with her sovereign grace, here on this grass plot in this very place, to come and sport, her peacocks fly amain, approach, rich Ceres.
How does my bounteous sister? Go with me to bless this twain, that they may prosperous be and honored in their issue. Honor, riches, marriage blessing, long continuance and increasing, hourly joys be still upon you. Juno sings her blessings upon you.
Earth's increase, voids in plenty, barns and garners never empty, vines in clustering bunches growing, plants with goodly burthen bowing. Spring come to you at the farthest in the very end of harvest. Scarcity and want shall shun you, Ceres' blessing.
In the masque, Iris represents the goddess of rainbow, harmony following the tempestuous storm. She is symbolic of the beauty that will be produced following the conflict between Naples and Milan. Note the symbolic references such as the rich scarf and the watery arch. The wedding masque in the Tempest is a materialization of Prospero's will and power. Like the court masque, it's a visual spectacle. Whereas in the second scene of the Tempest, Prospero wanted his daughter to listen and drink in his tale, this time he wants visual attention. The masque celebrates Prospero's paternal role and his ability to defy the laws of time and nature. Abundance emanates spontaneously from nature's inexhaustible resources. The masque is a departure from the real world of the Tempest, in which Ferdinand has to labour for his wedding. The Renaissance era believed that art held up a mirror to reality. Elements of the metatheatre and metadramatic references highlight the role of theatre in revealing insights into human condition for the audience. Discovery, therefore, takes place on two levels. The characters illustrate change that the art affects on the audience. This allows us to explore ideas such as metamorphosis, some insights into humanity, society, divinity, and love that we learn from the characters. The motif of theatre in the Tempest also emphasises the role that art plays in society as a representation of society's values. It also allows us to surpass the material world and creates an opportunity for the discovery of the transcendent and metaphysical order. This leads to insights such as life is fleeting, and that the brief beauty and harmony of the masque can become a metaphor for life. The power of true love and the eternal relationship between man and wife is also cemented through the masque. Links can also be made to the divine order in Shakespearean times and the rights of kings. Traditionally, the masque functioned to create a sense of order and harmony. In Act 3, we see the anti-masque, a dramatic rendition of disorder and disharmony through Caliban and Stefano's plot. The harmony linked to Prospero's rule of the island is contrasted with Stefano's chaotic rule. Prospero has summoned these actors to finalise his plan to unify Ferdinand and Miranda, and thus resolve the conflict between Naples and Milan. The motif of the theatre continues as Prospero takes on the role of the director, instructing his audience, "No tongue, all eyes, be silent. The actors are spirits, which by mine art I have from their confines called to enact my present fancies." Ceres, the goddess of the harvest and fertility, she symbolises richness produced from the wedding. Her song is rich with symbolism and metaphor as wealth and plenty is personified. Scarcity and want shall shun you. Declan Donnellan, a British film and theatre director, stated that Prospero is obsessed by his power, his rough magic and his art. The narrative line of the play is often crushed under Prospero's erratic creative energy. Some of the points you might be able to use to make a link between metatheatre in the Tempest and discovery are that the most meaningful discoveries into oneself and society follow a process of trials and challenges. While some discoveries may be intricately planned, the most moving and memorable insights into self and society may come serendipitously through the process of implementing these plans. And finally, by engaging closely with the text, audiences become complicit in the process of self-discovery as they emphasise with the epiphanies and transformation of characters, ultimately unveiling their own meaningful insights.